When I pushed it over, there's a drop, an 8-foot drop, just the contour of the house. So I get up there, and then I Spider-Man down these joists and trusses and blah, 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 and I'm like, you're too old and stupid to be doing this. So I get it back up there, and I set everything, and I take my ladder down, and I'm walking through the living room. And where that thing had dropped down, cornered right through the ceiling.
Wow.
That was over an $1,000 mistake that day.
Hey, welcome to Voices on the Wind, a podcast about catching those ideas that whisk by our heads and turning them into what they are, something significant.
Yes, significant.
Listen, I don't know if I've told you this, but there's this sign that is part of my childhood that says, it has a bunch of light bulbs. And each light bulb, we have lots of light bulbs around us. Yes. Each one starts out with this bright light bulb. I have this great idea.
Okay.
And then it goes through a series of, well, what if somebody else has done it? And the light bulb gets a little dimmer, and well, that'd be a lot of work. And the light bulb's just a little bit dimmer. And then eventually the light bulb is off, and it says, well, it was just an idea. And that was a mantra for someone I knew.
Wow.
Significant in my life. And I think what's beautiful about this podcast and what we're doing, how we're interviewing people, is of course not every idea needs to be pursued, but it does say that ideas are worth pursuing. Yeah. There's value in the ideas. And we create something real. Like we actually make a mark on this world.
Yeah.
So I like that about what we're doing and the people we're interviewing, that it is it's making a mark on me, and it's talking to people who are making a mark on the community and the people around them. So speaking of making a mark, I want to talk about our sponsor, Denise Patton.
Yes.
Now, if you have not checked out the studio voice of the, hold on, it's not the studio. It's called the, it's an art exhibition,
yes.
Right? And she's the in-house, in-residence artist and gallery coordinator at Art at the Hines. If you haven't walked in there, you need to. If you're not local, check out the Facebook page, Art at the Hines. Check out what Denise Patton is doing. I really love the art that she's making, and the art of the people around her. It's just a whole collection of artists, and the fact that exists in a beautiful old building, I just think that's really cool.
Yeah.
Right in the middle of the cowboy country, here's some beautiful art.
It stands out. Yeah.
It sure does stand out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So make sure you check out Denise Patton and her art. And
we have, and then our, what is it? And then newsletter. I always want to say email, but it's a newsletter.
It's an email.
I mean, it is an email. I mean, it's both.
But it's not like, hello, how are you today?
Yes. It's not like, hello, fill in the blank. No, we got newsletter. It's actually a lot of fun. Got a lot of very exciting things coming up, and along with some very exciting content that has come out, which if you've not seen, you definitely should see it. It's very good. And if you have, but have not, followed it, then you should follow it, because there's more coming. Was it like once a week? Then
comes every week, every Friday.
Every week.
Yep.
Yeah. So we got more coming. So yeah, if you haven't checked it out, please do. It's VOTW.substack.com, which is pretty awesome. But today on the podcast is Tom Taylor, who is a friend of mine, and actually did some gigs with him. He's a good guy, and I like how he works. He works hard, like hard. I mean, yeah. So he's a great guy. Really enjoyed his interview because, well, he has a lot of good thoughts on, his whole journey was like, carpet cleaning, and actually maybe I'll do mowing. And he's like, I actually don't do carpet, but then he just learned how to do carpeting. And he has a very interesting story of, how he just moved from, and then I think it was like college, college. And he's just like, I'm going to go up from there, and ended up starting his own business. Military. Yeah, in military. And he's like, I'm gonna do my own business. And I thought that was really cool. So he has a very cool story. Definitely should check that out. So then that's.
And if you have not, Tom Taylor also has a podcast called Son of a Poor Man, which I mean, I like our podcast name, but Son of a Poor Man, that's pretty good.
It's better. No, it's
Well,
I
it
mean,
can't be better, but
it's very
really
fitting
darn
for
good.
his genre.
Yeah, it's so good. And the lessons he's learned growing up,
Yeah.
learning how to make money.
Mm-hmm.
So as somewhat of a similar theme. And I really appreciate what Tom's doing. And he has some great lessons on his podcast, Son of a Poor Man. So check that one out. And here's Tom Taylor.
Yeah.
I was getting ready to retire from the military. I knew that I didn't want to go to 27 meetings a day. And if you're working in government, like a lot of my friends did, they transitioned from a military job to a government job or even a corporate job. It was meeting after meeting, no decisions ever got made the same day. We had to have a meeting about the meeting. And I just knew I didn't want that. I bet on a colonel one time, that I could buy a business and with my skills, turn it around in 6 months and train people and blah, blah, blah. And it was at the time called Cheyenne Telephone Answering Service. And so he called me one day and he said, hey, they're going out of business and I've secured it so that you can buy it. And so I negotiated it and we got it and we quickly turned it around. Now, this wasn't great timing because I bought it about a week and a half before 9/11.
Oh.
Okay. So we were working 14, 18 hours a day on the base. And then in the middle of the night, I was trying to do those things. But, and I'm not patting myself on the back, but 6 months later, I made my competition so uneasy. And I didn't know about customer service. I just knew about the right thing. And, do the right thing and treat your customers well, retrain your people, treat them well. And I did a bunch of things that were unproven. They just sounded good in my noggin,
Okay.
So, and I won't give numbers, but we sold it for about 8 times what we bought it in 6 months later.
6 months.
Yeah. And they were just scared.
And you beat your colonel at the bet.
I want a soda. I mean, that's important. Everything I do, if we ever bet, it will be a soda bet.
All right.
So, but it was cool. But then I didn't retire till another 5 or 6 years later. And that was in my head. I'm like, I got this. I'm a genius, and you start getting full of yourself and you think,
it feels good.
Yeah, and I can take over the world. I'm that good. And so that's how I got into this franchise. The guy came at me and he goes, man, I got this carpet cleaner. And I'm like, what? And he said, yeah, it's a carpet cleaner and you do this. And, I didn't sit there in 3rd grade going, hey, if I could be a carpet cleaner,
So this guy owes you a little money and he's like, hey, I don't have the cash, but I do have this machine.
This machine, which was 3 machines ago.
Okay.
So 2009.
All right.
And so I was like, I'm not going to get my money otherwise. So I take the van and there's a couple leaks in it. And I just figured it out. And I called some distributors and said, hey guys, I'm getting into the business, blah, blah, blah. I used to clean carpet probably my first 4 or 6 months. If you were my friend, I'd say, hey, Toby, let me clean your carpet and give me $25 for gas.
Okay.
Because I knew I didn't necessarily know what I was doing.
So you almost volunteered.
Ish. I knew I wanted to do this. I didn't know how profitable it would be. At that time, I would say the average carpet cleaning, 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom house kind of thing, you're getting $95.
Why didn't you say, man, I'm going to be broke or I'm better than this? Why did you go for it?
Because I'm not better than that. I mean, and I knew I wasn't going to be broke. I knew I could hustle. I started realizing that you didn't necessarily care about clean carpet as much as you cared about me showing up on time.
Oh, interesting.
Me being nice, me making a comment about your dog.
How did you figure out that the customers wanted a nice person more than they wanted a clean carpet?
I think that was from my military police background. I was always a guy who was never aggressive. I never went into a situation going, I'm the toughest guy in the room. I would talk low, those kind of things. I just tell my guys, drive around, crime will find you. And I believe that. So with that, and it came to me little by little by little. The other thing is, somebody told me one time, I can't even remember who it was. I was in some kind of business class, and he said, if the customer wants to lead, let them lead. And if the customer wants you to lead, lead. And I added on to that, but don't take advantage. It was one of the hardest things I had to do coming out of the military was learn how to take money. Because all of our stuff before that was volunteer kind of stuff, community service. So I'd get that $95 from you, and I'd be like, man, did I earn it? And I had this thing where, man, his carpets don't look perfect. They don't look brand new. And I had to get over that. I didn't get invited to your party, so I don't know what happened. So I can do the best I can for your carpet. So, but you have to learn those things along the way. But you go to school and you learn the techniques, and you learn the hardest thing, like in carpet cleaning, is chemistry. The machine just does the water and the suction piece. If you don't get the chemistry right and you don't end up at pH neutral, you've missed the boat.
So you had to go to school for that.
Yes.
You're probably not are you making lots of money before you went to school? That's kind of a chicken and the egg thing. Ish.
So I was like, at probably 4 or 6 months into it, I'm like, Junior, you ain't really bright. And one of my friends who was in the business, he called me one day, and I had asked him for advice, and he said, hey, man, go to school. And I did. And he goes, and it started raining really hard. One of those early summers where it would just rain for 20, 30 days at a time. And he goes, Tom, we need some help. He goes, just come suck water for us. Walk away, we'll do the setup on the flood, and I'll pay you full price.
Okay.
And that's somebody in an industry that could have taken advantage of me and actually was there to help me out.
Oh.
So, and he said, the trade-off is, as soon as you get paid, schedule to go to flood school. One of the great stories, and it's not a great story, it's a terrible story, but we were doing a flood. It was a sewer flood in this lady's basement, and her son had passed. Now, I don't know any of this, but the sewage had gotten to all these cardboard boxes, and it was all her son's stuff. And you can't fix that. It wasn't our fault, but, it had happened. But what's important to me or what's valuable to me has nothing to do with what's valuable to you or your family or things like that. So it's interesting that when I changed that philosophy and I realized I'm here to help people with their problem and not to assume I know what their problem is, which is, I go to your house and I go, hey, it's a modest house. It's blah, blah, blah. It's blah, blah, blah. The carpet's 15 years old. They probably don't want to spend a bunch. Well, your mother-in-law's coming and you're willing to do anything, and you don't care as long as I do a good job. So for me to assume what you want, and now it's really funny, I just ask.
Oh, yeah?
You walk into someone's house and you ask the customer, what's the number one thing I can do for you? And they say, get the smell out of here, or those stains, and they'll tell you what they want. And just listen. Like, I'm going to get this stink out of here. And they're willing to pay for those things because they told you what their pain point was.
At some point, things started to pick up for you. How did it go from a little side, fun little game to something real?
My daughter, it was funny. I took her when she was in high school. to carpet cleaning jobs. She's like, Dad, that's the most boring stuff ever. She's a high school kid. She hated it. But she had moved to Florida. She had gotten married. Hurricane Michael, they moved back. And she's like, hey, Dad. And I said, man, I'd love to have you on board. And I was like, you know what I really need is someone to organize my stuff. And from there, she starts being our business manager.
Wow.
And she's like, hey, Pops, you got to quit doing this. Hey, Pops, you got to start doing this. And
what are some examples?
All of this is my...
For the audio, you're pointing
branding.
Yourself.
No.
Hopefully it's not you.
Yeah, no, I don't have an OnlyFans page.
No.
But the branding. And it's really cool, if you wear a Def Leppard t-shirt, because they're a great band. We got to give them that, but... If I'm charging you $400 or $500, you expect a different level of professionalism. And I never thought about it. I used to wear jeans.
Okay.
I don't care if it's Saturday and you call me out on an emergency. I'm going to put on a pair of Dockers and I'm going to put on this shirt or another shirt. But she started changing this professionalism.
But she's whipping you into shape.
No, there was a couple good arguments, don't get me wrong. I mean, taking it from your kid is a little hard.
Sure, yeah.
But it was really cool because, software. She's like, Dad, if you're going to be a real business, you got to have software. And 5-6 years earlier, that software was $25-30 grand.
Oh, okay.
Or $1,500 a month, however you wanted, to eat that salad. But it was $180 a month. But she did that work. And she's like, Dad, we need to tell people when we're going to be there. And we're, and we need to be there. And Dad, quit being a dummy, show up on time. And before I was a little lazy, I'd be like, yeah, I'll get there. And at one point we were doing snow removal. So Mrs. Smith, we had her scheduled for 9 a.m. Well, it snowed. So I'd call Mrs. Smith and I'd say, look, lady, we're not coming today, We've got snow that's got to get moved. What I didn't understand at the time, and my 7-year-old, 4'1" daughter, who happened to be 27 and really darn smart, taught me that Mrs. Smith moved everything she owned into her bathrooms, her kitchen, the one room we weren't going to clean, and she was mad because she can't move around her own house.
Yeah.
And that drove us to drop snow removal because it wasn't worth angering our customers. The greatest story ever is Google. Several years ago, my daughter's like, hey, Dad, we need Google reviews. I'm like, Google schmoogle. That probably actually came out of my mouth. And it wasn't, I didn't understand that. And so she goes, Dad, just ask for the review. Okay. Hey, Mrs. Smith, if you liked what we did, I would really love a Google review. And before you know it, we're getting all these reviews. And people, if you ask, and if you're a really hard to please customer, maybe you don't ask. Or if it was a really tough job that no good carpet cleaner could make right, you don't ask for that. But hey, you seem pretty happy, and we have this you gotta love it guarantee, and people kind of got into that. They were like, so if I call you back, you'll come back? Yes, ma'am. Hopefully same day or next day. And we did that. So, but before you know it, our Google reviews, now, and I didn't know this at the time. At the time, it was an inconvenience. It was uncomfortable. Hey, can we give a Google review? And so 2-3 years later, we're number one on Google.
Wow.
And nobody knew it when my daughter was asking it. But right now, 80% of our new customers are coming from Google.
Wow.
And if your sister-in-law recommends to your wife to use Service First, and your wife sees my van, she goes, it's kind of a nice van. She will get on Google before she schedules and check our reviews. We were an under 6-figure business And we quickly moved through those stratifications to where we had employees and, things just seemed to work. And it was because, and what she taught me was we were following these rules that we set for ourselves. The other thing my daughter said to me, and she said, Dad, what we're doing today, we get paid for 6 months, a year down the road. This is a
Kind of wise daughter.
Yeah, I know. And when you think about that, sometimes it sucks today. Like you said, we turn down a job because that's not our thing. But that ending is, look, that's not me. I may know someone who can help you, but if you ever need us, let us know. And you don't think about that, but 6-8 months later, you get a flood call from those people because they know, like, and trust you.
Hey, Tom, thank you so much for taking the time on our podcast to be interviewed. Really enjoyed what you had to say. Very practical lessons, and hearing your story from coming out of the military and how you kind of buck the system a little bit in the military, and how that same mindset proves as a business person. Also really enjoyed how you listened to your daughter and she dramatically changed your business. And I feel like that humility and willingness to take advice, inspiration, a correction or two from somebody else, even those we love, that is a key in doing well in life and pursuing our ideas. So you're a great model for us. So I really appreciate that, and appreciate just what you've done for our podcast and what you're doing in our other little ventures. We've worked with you a little bit, so appreciate that.
Yeah. I think so. I think it was, just cool. Well, how family played into it as well. I mean, always interesting to see family, and it's cool to see how the family dynamic played in, but also just, perseverance and then using the system to his advantage. And then like being like, I'm going to flow with it, and I'm also going to buck against it. And that balance was perfect. So I thought that was really cool. If you have not subscribed or followed to the podcast, you should, because we got more exciting guests like Tom, and very exciting. And I've been there for all of them. So you don't see me, but I've been there, and they're going to be good. So thank you for listening, and it's just
Until then,
happy
sailing.
Happy sailing.